program. See, our job's to make money, and your job's to make us money. And the control that we have from the money we gave you allows us to do it. See, I had a rude wake-up call, and I learned from that, and I decided to retool, re-engineer, and go learn to build businesses without using anybody else's money. All right, everybody, how's it going? You guys ready to make some real money over the next few years? I recognize so many amazing faces in this room, and what I'm going to be talking about is not only where we've been, where we're at, but where we're going to be going. And I think that it's relevant for every person in this room that wants to 10x their personal, professional, and financial life. We just came off of a series called the Unbreakable Business Challenge. Let's go. If you are part of the Unbreakable Business Challenge, can I get a 10x? That's how we do it. This is Natalie and I, our 5th Growth Con. 2019, we did not know Grant and Elena Cardone. We didn't know anybody in the 10X community. See, I had just sold my company 3 years earlier for 77 times EBITDA, $151 million, and grew a $1 billion company in 36 months to $4.5 billion. And see, we were trying to figure out what we were going to do with the next chapter of our life. I was thinking, even though I had spent 10 years doing research on 4,000 industries, building models out and doing science on business and scaling models and all these elements of looking at consolidation and roll-up strategies and private equity strategies and all these things to understand how to take small business and blow it up and create a dominant group of independent business owners. And that was the business that I sold for 77 times EBITDA. But how did I get there? I got there because when I was 27 years old, I decided to become an entrepreneur, and I went out, made 100 presentations, raised my first $1 million, and then talked to business owners about buying their businesses and put over $500 million of business owners under letter of intent. And as a high school 2.4 GPA, voted least likely to succeed, couldn't get through math in school, I went to Wall Street, a dream of mine, while I used to sit on the tractor. You see, my father punished me my junior year of high school for breaking curfew. And he made me pick the walnut orchard up while he went out of town on vacation. So I go to school and I see the senior trip. The seniors were trying to do a trip, and they wanted to raise $1,000. So I said, hey, if you guys come help me pick these walnuts, I can get done early and I can go see my girlfriend. So they all come and they help me. We pick the walnut orchard clean, and I learned some lessons there. First, what a lesson to learn at 17 years old. The more people you throw at a problem, the faster it gets resolved if you're working towards one vision. The second thing I learned is that we picked all the walnuts. I hated the walnuts, but the people that came out actually enjoyed it and loved it. And I learned that it doesn't matter what you do if the what gets the result people want in their life. Many business owners have businesses, they hate what they do because they've worn themselves out. Even if you hate doing something, if it provides life and freedom for other people, they'll come do it for you. And the third thing is, because I didn't know how to use the calculator, I barely could get through school, and math was my worst, so I just made a price up, and the parents that bought all the walnuts paid it. And I made more money. And I learned that price is only an issue in the absence of value. So if you can create a lot of value in whatever you're doing, people won't argue with you about price. And I carried those concepts on until I left my job at 26 years old with a newborn and a 2.5-year-old and decided I wanted to become an entrepreneur. And I went out and was told no over and over and over. I was told horrible things. What do you know about running a business? I was rejected over and over and over. But see, I didn't have a choice. I had gone all in on my commitment. I had left and quit my job where I was making $150,000 a year with a newborn, sold my house, sold everything, and moved right next to my father back to Portland, Oregon. I had to go out and figure out how to make it work. See, I think one of the things with business owners and entrepreneurs is you're just successful enough that you don't actually have to commit to going all in. Because what I've experienced since being here with this 10X community is that the people that commit to going all in, they're blowing it up. So as I went on that journey, I finally started acquiring businesses. I was one of the youngest people to ring the opening bell of the American Stock Exchange at 29 years old. For all practical purposes, I was at the peak of my career by 29. worth $10 million. You know, my first target at 27 was to be worth $10 million. I remember going to the golf course and saying to my dad, hey, Dad, I did it. At 27, I'm worth $10 million. And he says, hogwash. And I said, look at this. And I pulled out a statement from Morgan Stanley, and I handed it to him, and he looked at it, and it says, balance in your trading account, 10.8 million. Remember that? Hey, my dad was a pastor. He won't lie. All of a sudden, I'm worth 10 million. Why was that my target? Because one of my mentors, when I was 26 years old, he was explaining to me how fast money works, and that money just doesn't happen overnight. You have to be patient. And one of the things he told me was, hey, Warren Buffett, he was worth $10 million at 27, but by 47, he was worth 75 million. He said, and then he went from 75 million at 53 to 350 million. Because he learned how to get money compounding through the businesses that he acquired and maintained and kept growing. And then from the 350, we all know he's one of the richest men in the world because he had another 30 years of compounded growth. So he said, you should set that as a target. Problem was by the time I thought I had it all figured out, I get a phone call from New York. Hey, Brandon, come to New York. I was at the highest point of my career in May of 01. They fly me to New York. We used to meet for an hour or two, go have a nice dinner, smoke some cigars, have a little martini, pat each other on the back, talk about all the stuff they're investing in. But this particular trip, for being a guy that's not an expert in this stuff, you just accomplished one of the greatest financing we've ever seen. I'm like, thanks, man. I'm like, these guys are here to pat me on the back. They said, but the problem was, you didn't read our agreement. If you had just used a few different words in your financing, you wouldn't be in the position you are today because our agreement says you can't have any debt in front of our equity. So the guy in the other room, Dan Cold, we're going to bring him in. See, he's the new CEO. You're fired, and he's going to sell your company. And I said, come on, guys. Like, we can't do that. And they said, oh, no, we do this all the time. See, our job's to make money, and your job's to make us money. And the control that we have from the money we gave you allows us to do it. See, I had a rude wake-up call. And I learned from that, and I decided to retool, re-engineer, and go learn to build businesses without using anybody else's money. That was my commitment. See, I was smart enough to know if I could figure out how to build my business without needing or using anybody else's money, and if I could figure out how to tie my customers in and make them my shareholders instead of going to investors to then build a business to try to go get shareholders. And you heard about how so many businesses don't make money? See, that's okay if you're going to access the public markets and go raise billions of dollars, but if you're a little independent business, a mom and pop owned business, and you got your brothers and your sisters and your cousins and your kids and your best friends and your friends from church all working with you, you can't really afford to sit and lose money year over year. That'll put you out of business. So you have to learn to make money. Who in here has a business that's between $3 and $5 million? Say 10x. Anybody with a $10 million business? See how it gets a little louder? You know why? They're a little more enthusiastic about the return on their investments. Anybody have a $20 million business? 50? 100 million? Yeah, see, they get louder. Fewer of them, but louder. Congratulations.